Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, and I'm going to talk about The Sims 4 today, and how I feel things have been going for the past several months, this year really, and what I think we really need next. It might not even be university, as much as people are asking for it, because, well, let's take a look at the packs we got this year in 2019. So, we got Strangerville, we got Island Living, we got Mosquito Stuff, and we got Realm of Magic, and Discover University seems like it might be the final pack of the year. And, well, assuming that the leak is actually correct, then all of these packs have one thing in common, that they're designed to be self-contained experiences that don't really add that much to the daily core gameplay. I find it really interesting that 2019 has basically become the year of self-contained experiences. Now, I'm not saying that by, concept, those packs are always bad. I mean, why else would University be one of the most consistently highly requested packs whenever a new Sims game comes out? That has to mean that a lot of people enjoy University in The Sims, right? Well, the best received packs most of the time I find tend to be the ones that actually do integrate pretty well into the core gameplay, no matter what sort of sim you're playing as, especially packs like Parenthood and Seasons. And those do tend to be my favorite packs as well, because I feel like they do best fit the definition of an expansion where they expand the game more. Whereas I feel like packs like World Adventures or University or Jungle Adventure, it almost feels like to me they should be called something different, like an experience or something like that, because, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. They are an experience, and that's the gist of it. It's something that you do maybe a few times, and then you don't really touch it for a long time, if ever again. So I guess you could also say that 2019 for The Sims 4 has been the year of experiences, though that is a more positive meaning than what I was actually going for. But nevertheless, yeah, I guess that kinda works. So I think what we really need are more packs that add normal things. Normal things that just integrate into your gameplay, whether you do live on a tropical island, or whether you do live in just a typical suburban neighborhood, or whether you're a human sim, or a spellcaster, or an alien, or whatever. Because things like the weather or parenting can go with all of those things. And I think there's a lot more they could still do with The Sims 4 in the area of expanding the core gameplay. I'm sure there are several ideas for packs and just maybe even free features too, if we want to talk about those, that can expand the core gameplay and just really affect the game on a base level. But there's two themes that I'm thinking of, and that's to do more family-oriented gameplay, except maybe this time they could do a whole expansion pack for it instead of a game pack, because as much as I love Parenthood, there's still a lot of family-oriented things they could still add to The Sims 4, like prom night, or sleepover events, or pillow fights, or like pranks, and a lot of other stuff that was in Generations, like even expanding some of the other age groups, like especially elders. Elders could use more attention too, not just the children and the teenagers and freeing the babies. So yeah, that's definitely one thing they could consider. So I really think a family-oriented expansion pack for The Sims 4 could help turn things around. The other expansion pack or even game pack idea that I'm thinking of that could help a lot too is a hobbies pack. This is something that I've been pretty vocal about before, and yeah, I still want it pretty badly. Free Time, that expansion pack for The Sims 2, is one of my all-time favorites. And the timing of that expansion pack, I remember, was perfect as well, because Bon Voyage came out before it, and that does fall into the category of a self-contained experience. So I even remember back then, I was thinking after Bon Voyage, even though I really loved that expansion pack, I felt that my Sims just needed more straight up activities to do at home. And Free Time scratched that itch for sure. And it didn't just add a lot of gameplay objects just because. There was purpose too, because it tied into the brand new hobby system. There were a whole bunch of different hobbies that your Sims could choose from, like cuisine, film and literature, fitness, nature, and it was just a nice excuse to bring all of these different sorts of objects together. One of my favorites is definitely the fixer-upper car that could really contribute to the mechanical hobby. Although the fixer-upper car is tailored to Sims who are meant to be mechanics, it's not like they're the only ones who can drive the car once it's finished. So it was really cool having another variety of car in the game. And the basketball hoop was another notable object to me because we finally got it back after so long, because in The Sims 1 we had the basketball hoop from the get-go, and yeah, finally, one of the last expansion packs for The Sims 2 brought that back. So even during The Sims 2 there was the odd occasion where it's like, why is this taking so long to be brought back? And same with the model railway set. That's another object that I enjoy that I feel like a lot of my Sims could use. Another couple objects I remember using pretty frequently from Free Time were the remote control vehicles. There was a remote control car and a remote control helicopter as well. So I think those would be really fun objects, especially for children to play around with. And with the hobbies, they actually do give your Sims some new interactions, and there's even titles that you unlock for your hobby as you gain more enthusiasm, as you partake in that hobby more and more. So even for the players who play The Sims in a more RPG-like fashion with set objectives, there was still something there. One thing that I love about having a hobby system in The Sims is that it's another way to define your Sims character apart from the traits that you give them. And it's also a great reason to bring your Sims together as well. Sure, a family-oriented pack can do that as well, but of course that's meant to be more among family, whereas with hobbies, you can do that with your family, but you could also do that with your friends, or even meet entirely new Sims, or possibly even love interests through the hobbies that you participate in. Though one thing that Maxis should keep in mind if they decide to bring a hobby system into The Sims 4 is have it be opt-in, because I do remember in The Sims 2, they could get annoying sometimes because then my Sim might use one certain object a lot, but it's not necessarily like a hobby that they want to get into necessarily, and then they get annoyed by the hobby instructor be like, oh, here's a free magazine all the time, and just it got a little bit annoying. So it would be good if it wasn't like forced on your Sims if you don't want to, but you'd still have so many new objects to play around with, so many normal objects that aren't meant to be used in like one single world or one single occult or whatever. It could also integrate pretty well with certain packs like movie hangout stuff and get together and get famous, but I should probably just stop myself there. I might as well just do a separate My Sims 4 wishlist episode where I focus more on what I would like to see in a hobby sort of pack, because this video is kind of turning into that at this point. I'll also talk about some ideas for free content, some normal things that I think could be incorporated into everyday gameplay. So, where are the burglars and the firefighters? It's baffling to me that after 5 years we still don't have these, and I think many people, including myself, consider them to be series staples. Especially with the burglars, they could add some more depth and challenge to The Sims 4. Maybe they could even have some lot traits where you can have your house or apartment be in a high crime or low crime area. I'll also briefly mention cars again. I've explained what feels like hundreds of times now about why I want cars despite the closed world in The Sims 4. So I am going to link a My Sims 4 wishlist episode that I did dedicated to cars. And another feature that I think could add a lot to the game, especially in terms of character, kind of like how I already discussed with hobbies, would be the return of a chemistry system. No, not a science-y thing where your Sims could blow themselves up. No. I mean turn-ons and turn-offs, just like what The Sims 2 had. I think that would add a lot more to our Sims, and it would make the romance a little bit more challenging too if your Sims don't initially get along very well because of their differences with what they might like or dislike in a partner. And to go along with that, maybe even the zodiac signs. The zodiac signs aren't like something that I need for sure, but definitely turn-ons and turn-offs. Yes, I think that would be a wonderful addition to the game. I also think they should bring back Sim favorites so that they can have a favorite food dish or a favorite music genre, and also be able to decide some of the favorites that already exist in The Sims for, like favorite drink, in Create a Sim. But one other Sim-related suggestion that I'm gonna make that I've seen nobody talk about is the idea of bringing back the interest system, which originated in The Sims 1. It's not the same as hobbies or favorites because with the interest, it focused on topics that your Sims can talk about, whether it's travel or education or toys or weather. So it's not necessarily things that your Sims participate in as hobbies all the time. There are just things where it's like, oh, you talk about these things. And it could affect, I'm pretty sure, like how easy or difficult it was for Sims to build a relationship, because it was on a 10-point scale. So if a Sim only has a few points in that area of interest, then they're actually negative towards it. And if it's somewhere around the middle, then their reaction to other Sims talking about it is neutral. And if it's 10 or just a little bit less than that, that means they're very interested in that topic. It could add more depth and challenge just for normal chat interactions, because then you could see if conversations are going positively or negatively, and if they're going badly, then if you want, you could click on your Sim and change the topic, and hopefully the other Sim will be more interested in that thing. And one other thing I just thought of that could separate the interest from the favorites is that maybe the interest could be predetermined by the traits that you choose, and then you can still have some flexibility to change them in live mode by having your Sims buy magazines that are relevant to the interests that you want to build up more. One new thing I think they could do that could potentially be really interesting is introduce household funds versus individual Sim funds. So you could still keep the old-fashioned household funds if you want to. Maybe it'll make sense for the current household that you're playing, but also have the option so that Sims can have separate bank accounts. I think that could be potentially interesting, even though it does sound kind of boring because, oh, finances and such. But I do think it could add more depth to the gameplay, especially with a storytelling angle. I'd also love it if they could make ocean swimming possible in all worlds that have one, instead of just Sulani. Of course, I also gotta mention build mode, and the first thing I always think of is more stairs. I'm really glad we got that configurable stairs update recently, but I think we still need spiral stairs, ladders, and escalators. And I don't really imagine any of those just being incorporated as an expansion to that update. I still imagine them being separate objects. Like with spiral stairs, I think it would be great if we could still have landings for them, but spiral stairs are a bit different because even though we can make sort of like switchback stairs, they're not quite the same. And if we ever got escalators, I would imagine it would just be an option to curve them, because escalators are not really something I normally imagine having the stair landings that we have in the game right now. And with ladders, I think it would be cool if we had at least two different options, where one ladder could be leaning a little bit, and then we could have the ladders that go straight up, like we had in The Sims 3. And one last thing I gotta mention is paintable ceilings, because even though building is the thing that I do least in The Sims, it still annoys me so much when I try to take pictures that are even slightly low angle and then the ceiling ends up being in the picture and it's the same white ceiling and it often does not match with what the wallpaper and the floor looks like. So hopefully this can be addressed in a free update. I know I've seen a lot of people complaining about this too. Alright, so I'll wrap things up here, because even though there are more things that I want in The Sims 4 besides these things, I don't want to make this video super long. I'm already struggling to keep this under 20 minutes. But this should prove that there's still so many just normal, conventional things that they can add to The Sims 4, rather than just these elaborate experiences that you might only use a few times and that's it. There's still so much they can do, and The Sims 4 has been out for over 5 years now. I hope that for future years of The Sims 4, they can keep a better balance of adding stuff that adds to everyday gameplay and stuff where it's more of an adventure and you may use it a few times, but it's still really enjoyable. I mean, there's still some more like out there things I'd like to see implemented in The Sims, like what if we could explore our Sims' dreams, like actually being able to play as our Sims inside their dream and affecting the outcome, with even the possibility of death if things go really wrong and that sort of stuff. So feel free to let me know what sort of normal things you want to see in The Sims 4. Man, at this point I feel really inspired to do more of the My Sims 4 wishlist videos again. I guess I got some time since I'm not really expecting any Sims news for at least a couple more weeks. But be sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with my latest content from The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!